Welcome to APPNA YPC mock interview webinar. We have covered all the important topics, say from application prep to interviewing to SOAP. All those lectures are available on our YouTube channel. So I'll request all of you to please subscribe to the channel. All the guidance that you need, that should be there. The other thing we ask you to do is, if you are already not a member of our Facebook group, please join APPNA YPC Facebook group, and you can ask any questions and get mentorship through that group.
Welcome, everyone. This is obviously a mock interview workshop, and this is created by the APPNA YPC team. And these are some thoughts that we're trying to share with everybody. And there's definitely more to it than just this PowerPoint, but this is a good nuts and bolts of what you guys need moving forward. Congratulations to everyone on getting to this point. Even getting to this point is a great achievement. So to agenda for today, what is a residency interview? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about interview etiquettes, preparation mindset. We're going to talk about virtual interviews, common questions asked, and common questions to ask, as well as interview follow-ups, which is always important. Next slide. So we're on interview etiquette. So the first thing is always, and it goes without saying, but sometimes it's not always done, and it's to be professional. And we'll talk about what that means in more detail. Always be punctual, always be on time, be yourself. People can see through you. So you want to be who you are, because these people are interviewing for a job. They want you to be that person that they want to hire and work for. Always be personable, be energetic, communicate well, and be courteous. Be confident in yourself. You're a physician. You spent 5 years training as a medical doctor, taking care of lives. Be confident in your abilities. You're much stronger than you think you are. Maintain good eye contact and greet by title always. When you don't know someone, first time you should always meet them. You should always greet them by their title. And then if they tell you themselves that, hey, you can call me this or you can call me that, then you can change that. Always have a good, strong handshake. Don't go in with a weak handshake. You're going in a business meeting. You always want to present yourself strongly and confidently. So have a good handshake. Also, sometimes they go for dinner. So make sure we're talking about dinner and social etiquettes, how to interact in a social setting. A lot of times people want to see how you react when you're at dinner, and everything is part of the interview process. So when they take you out for lunch or dinner, they're trying to see how you are as a social animal and how your behavior is. Next slide. All right. And the first thing you want to do, and when I talk about preparation mindset, you don't, just because you get an interview is not the only thing. You have to prepare for it. And you want to get into that mindset. So always learn about the program you interview at. Then go on their website, talk to friends, talk to family, talk to whoever you need to get good information about that program. Research everything you can about that hospital and that residency program. If you know people in the program, that's a bonus. If you have to think, if I'm a program director, what am I looking at when I'm trying to hire residents for my program? And you have to change your mindset on that. We're all used to study, but so many times people blow this off, and I find it so surprising. But prepare for your interview as if you're preparing for an exam or your step exams, and be on top of it every step of the way. Practice with someone, practice with your mom or dad, look at yourself in the mirror. And then the night before, try to relax, get yourself in the mindset of just like, I got this, I can do this. I've prepared well enough for it. I'm not crunching the last minute. And don't stress, enjoy the process. Interviewing can be stressful, but it's a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun going to different cities, meeting new people, talking to other candidates. You don't get that opportunity that often in your career. So definitely enjoy the process. Now, because of COVID, things have changed a little bit in terms of in-person meetings. So they have created virtual interviews. So certain things that we want to focus on in virtual interviews, and some of this goes without saying, but you'd be surprised sometimes when I've talked to candidates and it's like dark or we can't hear them. Try to have good camera focus, good lighting, be punctual, have good internet connection. I know that's easier said than done for some of the people back home, but that is still pretty important. Good Zoom and team setup. Have a professional appearance, a tie, suit. For girls, a dinner jacket or a nice dress. Just something that looks like, you're interviewing for a job And I think a lot of people forget that because they're not used to interviewing for a job. This is probably their first job interview in their whole life, because their whole life they've just been studying, going from one step of their educational career to another. Make sure there's no background noise, and have professional backgrounds. You know, a flat white background is very professional. Don't put palm trees in there. That doesn't make any sense. So try to make it look good. And then practice your Zoom sessions with someone. Call a friend and be the program director to your friend, and then call them back and have them do it in reverse. Good camera angle, and maintain good posture. Don't slouch. Sometimes it's very easy to slouch. So next, we're going to talk about some common interview questions. And there's a lot of questions that are not on this slide, but there are some questions on this slide that are very pertinent, and they're very common theme questions that happen all the time. So first is, please tell us about yourself. And, you know, this question comes up a lot. And what you want to do here is you really want to tell them about you. They want to know about you as a person. I know some people, I've asked this question, they start talking about how they study all the time, studying for step 3. I mean, that's not really fun. You know, they want to know about you. Who are you? What makes you Faraz Alam? What makes you Danish Ahmed? I'm just putting out names there. Or Naman Ashraf. Like, and how did you get to this point? What do you do for fun? You know, they're hiring someone that they want to have a good time with in the program too, not just step scores. Describe a team building moment during your medical training. This is also a very good question. Kind of collaborates on team building and how you collaborate with your fellow peers. So try to have an example during your medical school years, whether it's clinical or basic sciences, like good moments that enforced you as being a good team leader. How do you handle conflict in a medical setting when it pertains to patient care? A lot of times in our career, there's always a hierarchy in medicine. You know, you have your attendings, your fellows, your residents, your intern, students. And sometimes you want to say something, but you feel like you're out of line, but you may be right. So how do you do that in a respectful manner? And it's perfectly fine to be respectful and telling someone that they're wrong, but you just have to do it in a right way. So I'm sure there are many examples in your career that has happened. So try to come up with 1 or 2 good ones to use in your interview trail. Tell me about your weaknesses and strengths. This is also a very good question. It's tough. We all have weaknesses. We all have strengths. To say I don't have any weakness, that's actually a weakness. So like try to have 1 or 2 good ones and try to elaborate on how you work on your weakness. Yeah, I think people who see that you have a weakness and you're trying to work on it, that's a positive thing, right? You're always trying to improve yourself. Even in medicine, as a resident, you're trying to improve yourself as someone who's going to be an attending, but also someone as an individual and a person. You grow a lot as a person throughout your 3 years or 4 years, how many years you are there. You see a lot of residency that really makes you grow as a person. So it's okay to have a weakness, but put a positive spin on it, on how you would. And we can go into more details in this later. I'm sure there are going to be more questions on that. Then they also ask sometimes, why should we choose you? And, you know, and that's your moment to kind of sell yourself as well, to say, hey, this is why you should choose me, and you're not going to make a mistake if you pick me as a resident in your program. And you want to define your capabilities in a positive way and feel confident in what you're saying. They also ask where you see yourself in 5 to 10 years. That's a fantastic question. It's okay to be honest. Like if you don't know, sometimes people don't know what they want to do in residency, and you know it's okay to say that I'm still exploring options. I like this and this field. You know, I want to get the residency and kind of see what I want to do. But definitely have good answers. Everyone's different. Every individual is unique, so they're always going to have different answers. Some people have always asked me, "Is there a right answer?" No, there's not a right answer. The right answer is what is right for you. Where do you want to be in 5 to 10 years, and what do you see your career at that time? Not only just your career, also as a person too in your personal life, where you see yourself. Next slide. A lot of program directors love to ask, why our program? You know, there's so many programs out there in the country, and as a student and a candidate, it's very easy. We all, because I want to get in, you know, like we're all thinking the same thing. We want to get in, but at the same time, you want to have a good answer for that program. You know, Ohio State versus West Virginia versus Harvard, they all want you to like them for them, not just because they have a spot and you need a spot. They're not desperate. We're the desperate ones. So we have to have a good answer for our program as to why we want to come here. Why should we choose you for a residency training? This is another area where you can kind of sell yourself as to what your capabilities are, why you would be a good resident, why you would be a good fellow or a good attending one day. And these are important points to talk about. Tell me about a difficult decision you had to make. This actually came to me once. I remember, and it doesn't have to. A lot of times people think it has to be a medical answer, but it's okay to have a non-medical answer. Maybe you had a difficult decision in your life with your career. Maybe you couldn't pursue the normal process of becoming a doctor. Maybe you had to take some time off for family. Maybe you had to do something for your dad, take a year off and then come back. So the decision is difficult. It can be any kind of decision, but it's good to talk about it. And it shows you and it shows them how you have matured as a person, an individual. And people want mature residents. They don't want immature people. This is a job. They want to know that they can trust you when you're on call 24/7, that, okay, Dr. Ahmed has it under control. People also talk about research. I've seen a lot of people get their names on papers and have no clue what they're doing. They just want to get their names on papers, and they know that. It's all part of the process. They've done that. But if you're involved in research and you could put it on your CV, make sure you know everything about that research that you did. And the same thing with your CV. Don't put things on your CV just to put it on there. Know it, because people can talk about your CV and be like, oh, what's this? You said in 2019 you did this little project. Can you tell me about that? And be ready to be able to talk about anything on your CV, because they may ask you about it. They also ask about having an interest in pursuing fellowship. And it's okay. If you like GI, say it. If you like cardiology, you like infectious disease, you like sleep medicine, this is what I like. There are many people who like something. We all know friends who like something at one point in their career, and then they chose something else. So be honest with your feelings and what you like and what you want to do. Next slide. Now then they throw the ball in your court. Then they say, do you have any questions for us? And that's a good time for you to ask questions to them. And you should have questions ready to ask them, because that shows your interest in the program. Saying no is usually not a good answer. It kind of shows them that, okay, like, we talked for so long and I'm asking you questions, you don't have anything to ask me. It shows your interest level is not there. So always have questions that you want to ask them. Common questions to ask one is about their curriculum. How is their program structured? There's so many residencies across the program. Everyone is structured differently. Some are more inpatient heavy, some are more elective heavy, some are more research heavy. There's a vast array of options all across the country. So you want to ask that, how's your curriculum set up? Ask them about research opportunities. If research is your thing, that's a good option. Now, a lot of residencies are doing quality research. It's almost like it's like a requirement now that you have to do a quality project for residents. I know our residency, we have to do it. So ask, what are your interests? What research opportunities do I have here? If you don't have any, can I do somewhere else? Electives and stuff like that. You can ask about, where your residents and fellows have gone on to match. That's a common question that people ask as well. You can ask them about elective opportunities, internal and external. I know a lot of residents go out for external electives, and that's perfectly okay. People rotated at St. Agnes Hospital when I did medicine. They went to Hopkins to do endocrinology, and they like that. They want their residents to go to nice institutions and do well for them. It makes their hospital look good. Ask about teaching opportunities. You're in a residency environment. Are you going to have medical students? Do you have physician assistant students? Do you have nursing practitioner students? This is in America, it's very common to have APPs. I have APPs every day. They make my life a lot better than without them. So, in Pakistan, I don't think there's a concept of APPs there. So here you may have not just med students, but you also may have physician assistant students, nurse practitioner students, respiratory therapy students. So they all be part of the team. Another question to ask the program is, what is your program's future? And where is the program headed in 5 years? Are there going to be any changes in the program? Is it evolving? I think every program is changing, especially post-COVID. There's so many changes that all programs are making. So that's a very good question to ask them as well. Next slide. So we talked about the first one, any changes coming to your program, and you'd be surprised. Sometimes there are big changes coming. Sometimes you may be going from 8 seats to 10 seats if the GME funding is there. So Those are important things that you need to know. Also, you can ask them about courses for board exams and RIDE exams, RIDE is residency and service training exams. Sometimes they offer their residents teach classes, or they have courses set up with Kaplan and stuff like that, a Princeton Review that they offer through Mixapp and all these things that they can get you for a discount if you can use your GME money, CME money for that. You can ask about how the residents are, what do they like to do for fun. That's more of a question for the residents when you meet with them at lunch, or if you interview with the chief resident. You know, what the residents usually hang out? Do they, you know, what did they do for fun around here? You can also ask about the pathology of the patient population. You go to New York, you're going to see a very, very different array of patients than if you go to a rural place like West Virginia. And then you would be surprised when you get to West Virginia, some of the things you see, you never saw in any other state that you were at, where the diversity was very high. So it's always good to ask about the pathology of patients that you may see and what kind of diseases you may encounter. Good to ask about the faculty and staff. If you know your itinerary beforehand and you know who you're going to talk to, look these people up and see what their interests are. You know, if someone if someone likes to do research in COPD and that's their thing, and you want to be a pulmonologist, boom, that's your end. You know, like, do that. That's based on the research you're going to do. That guy's not going to tell you that. You're going to have to research on your own. So that's a very good opportunity if you have an itinerary beforehand. And I think a lot of the times they do send an itinerary beforehand, so you can look and go into that. And then I think we talked about this: where do graduates go after training? And you get a good idea yourself. Like, is everyone staying internal? Do they like it here that much that they want to stay here? Do they go out as a state, go to different programs? And that gives you a better idea of your chances as well. Next slide. So once you're done with your interview, don't not say anything. Always try to say a thank you, even if you're not going to go to that program, because it just shows you who you are as a person. You're courteous, you're respectful, that someone gave you their time. You know, that's a seat that they could have given to someone else for an interview, but they interviewed you. And it's okay to not feel a connection to that program. Not everyone does, and not everyone feels a connection with you. So when you leave that interview, make sure you always send a thank you email to the program director or the program coordinator or the people that you interviewed. You can send as many thank you emails to them as you want, in terms of if you interviewed 5 people, if you want to send it to all 5, or you want to send it to one program coordinator or one program director, or send one big email to everyone. You can also do a postcard thank you. I know some people who are really, really interested in a program, they sometimes send a Christmas card or a Happy New Year's card, like our email. Like, you know, the more interest you show in them, the more interest it will show in you. Definitely it helps get secondary interviews too, because people may forget candidates. They are interviewing so many people, it's impossible to almost remember everybody. So when you put your name out there, I promise you, they're going to remember you. Then after you're done with all this, then you're going to do a strategy for your rank order list. And there's been tutorials that we've set up through YPC to talk about that, and with the appropriate time that will happen later. Always maintain some kind of connection with them. And then, then the last thing to do is submit the rank order list and relax before match day, which is really hard to do, right? That's the toughest thing to do, is relax. But you do want to do that. So thank you. And remember that this is a job interview. I know for my cousin speaking, and even myself, believe it or not, growing up here, I didn't have a job until I got to college, because we've always been told you have to study, study, study. And that's all in our head. But when I got to med school, before med school, when I was in college, and I met my pre-med advisor, and she said, "Do you have a job?" I was like, "Why would I have a job?" I was like, "I'm studying, like I'm trying to be a doctor." And she's like, "No, you need to have a job. You need to get a job that shows you, it gives you experience. You learn a lot about the world, and that's how it is." And for many people back home, I know you're just going from one educational career to the next, and your first job is not until you get to your residency. And people don't have that experience on how to interview for a job. They don't know how to interview for school and to study, but this is different. So just remember that you're interviewing someone, if someone's interviewing you for a job, you're going to be working for them, and you want to present your best foot forward. And inshallah, you guys will do that.